Hello friends, it's Daryl, and I'm here today near my house. I got a project to work on. I've got my helper here with me. There he is. There's my little helper. I found this bike in the trash last fall, and I just absolutely love it. It's a vintage Schwinn. This is a 5-speed, which I've always found to be the most desirable arrangement for myself. It's got a lovely saddle type seat on it. It's not too narrow or skinny. It's the World Tourist model, and it's in a lovely aqua green color, almost the same color as my car. It's got the original gum wall tires on it, 27-inch, which are totally rotted out and dead and falling apart. But that's really the only thing wrong with it. I've been over it several times. Everything works. The brakes, the cables all work. They're in good condition. It's just really the tires. I'm going to fix this up and ride it a little this year. And if you look under here, all my Pontiac and North Oakland County people will recognize that. Scarlett's Schwinn Shop, North Perry Street, Pontiac, Michigan. Made in Taiwan, so that'd be another hint as to when it was built, I suppose. We're going to show you guys how to install new tires and tubes today. I very carefully set it upside down. The front wheels are the easiest because you only have the 2 nuts to take off here. It's a good idea to hold this little inner nut here while you're taking the outer one loose, and that is a 5/8 size. We didn't have tire spoons or fancy machines when we were kids. We used a pair of screwdrivers, pried up one edge of the tire, and then worked our way around. We also brought a little pry bar here for holding it in place as we work. Pry up on 2, then we've got like a 5-inch long section here that's open, and we're just going to gradually move further and further down with our screwdrivers. And if we have to, or want to, we'll slide the pry bar in to that gap to hold it up. We've worked our way all around the wheel, and we've got the tire bead up and away from the wheel on one side. The next step is going to be to lift it up a little bit, push the valve stem down through into the whole wheel, and pull the tire, or pull the inner tube out through this gap. There we go. It's pretty easy to pull that wheel off. And now our kit came with these little rubber safety strips that go inside to protect the tube from the spokes. And this little bag here contains more than you'd imagine. 2 of the new rubber liner strips, 2 new inner tubes, and 2 new tires, all squeezed into this little bag. The tires on there now are Carlisle, and these are Kendas. But I like the look of the gum wall siding on these. Now I say it came with new tubes and new liner strips. And let's get it unwrapped. They even give you a set of plastic tire spoons and instructions on how to do the job. That's really nice. This looks like a good company to order stuff from. Install one side of the tire bead over the rim so that you have an opening like this all the way around on one side. And now we're going to install the tube by finding the valve stem hole, remove the cap, press it in through the hole, and then work the tube all the way around the rim up inside the tire without pinching it or twisting it. We've worked our way all the way around the tire and wheel, and we've tucked the tube up in there so it's right up against the top of the rubber wheel and out of the way. That keeps the danger of pinching the tube lower than if it was just hanging in there, randomly. So I keep it all the way up so it's like right up into the upper area of the new tire. Once you get it where you think you need it to be, we're just going to start carefully pulling the tire back down so that the bead is on the inside of the rim and the tube is further up in there, not getting pinched. Work slowly and carefully, and it's usually not a problem. The last little section of about 14 or so inches is the hardest, because everything else is on nice and neat all the way around. This is where the most force is required. I could easily put a couple screwdrivers under here like I did when I was taking it out, but this is where the tire spoons really come in handy. You've got these little plastic levered edges on them, and they are curled so that they go up here and catch the rim edge as you pull them towards you, and there's no sharp edges on them. It's very unlikely that you'll puncture the tube using one of these soft edge flat tire spoons. So let's give it a try. I've never used these like this before. I took a bite of about 3 to 4 inches at a time, and I very carefully just worked them down. Look at that. So once you get it in, you just lift up and out, pull up, lift out, and your tire is seated all the way around. Look at that. I think this is going to look really nice when we're done. The wheel bearings felt a little dry. You could feel them catching as you rolled them. So I put a 5/8 inch socket on this end and a 5/8 inch box end on the other end, and loosen them just a little bit so you can see how this pulls out. I'm going to squirt some lube back in there and oil up those. My dad used to call them cone bearings. I think that's what they're still called. These front wheels are really easy to set back in place. They've got locking tabs on both sides behind the axle nut, and a little tab on that lock ring goes into this little hole right there where my thumbnail is. So we're going to spread these out so they're all the way out to the edge, and then we're going to drop the wheel back into the forks. There we go. We lined up our locking plates into the little grooves, snug the nuts up finger tight on both sides, and now we're going to torque it down tight. I wasn't able to find any official torque setting, but it just says nice and tight, but not too tight where it's starting to crush things. So we're going to do just that. You don't want the wheel falling off, but you don't want it putting too much pressure on here either. Although with the flat side of the, what do you call it, cone bearing nut, it's probably not going to make too much difference. When it spins, I want to check the rolling resistance to make sure that we're not unduly putting stress on the wheel to keep it from spinning. You can see I pushed down on that really hard, but because I have the cone bearings, I believe, properly adjusted, it's not really affecting the rolling of the wheel. So got it down nice and tight on both sides. I've never felt it necessary to align the front wheel because it drops right down into the forks all the way, and it doesn't seem like there would be any adjustment necessary on this. But if I'm wrong, I'm sure someone will let me know. Nice and quiet and smooth. All we gotta do is air it up. Put the back one on, which is not that much harder, a little bit trickier because of the chain, but it's really not too bad. Makes the bike just pop again with that nice shiny new tire on there. Good boy. Are you excited to go home? You want to go home and go to bed? All right, get up in your seat. Get up into your seat. There you go. What a good boy. The back's a little different than the front. You'll need a pair of 5/8 wrenches because we're going to remove the nuts on each side of the rear axle. The only difference really will be unhooking the chain from the sprocket as we pull it out. And we'll try and show you how that works. Once you get it loose, you can lift the tire and axle assembly up and out, leaning it, angling it forward a little bit. Then you can release the tension on the chain by pushing this idler gear here forward and popping the chain off of the sprocket. I usually take the front off first because it's easier to get to. You can see we've dropped the chain off now and it's hanging down there, and the wheel is loose. Let's see. It's been a long time since I've done one of these. All right. We had to remove the safety guard for the shift mechanism, and once we did that, you flip this tensioner here all the way forward, and there's enough room to lift the wheel out of its hole. And now the tire replacement is the same as it was on the other one I showed you.